Computer Chronicles is brought to you by BigStar.com, with thousands of videos and DVDs for the whole family.
Hi, and welcome to this special edition of Computer Chronicles. We're in Amelia Island, Florida, covering a conference on e-commerce being put on by Business Week magazine and PeopleSoft. You know, if there's one area of the internet that's getting lots of attention as a potential moneymaker, it is e-commerce, online transactions, from airline tickets to groceries, from college courses to stocks. You can buy it all these days on the internet. We're going to take an in-depth look at the future of e-commerce and, for the present, how you can benefit from this new world of online shopping.
One of the icons of success in e-commerce is Dell.com. Dell went online to sell direct and very quickly shook the entire computer industry by ringing up sales of over $10 million a day. The other e-commerce success story is Amazon.com. Amazon took on well-established bookstores like Barnes & Noble and Borders and turned the book business upside down by reaching sales levels of over $50 million a month. Rick Van Zura is Senior Vice President for Electronic Commerce at Borders. Van Zura says books are the perfect product for e-commerce.
Well, the advantages of this channel are pretty clear in that to date there's never been an effective book or media catalog because the title count is just so vast. It's 3 million just books alone, and in the hundreds of thousands when you talk about music and video. So I think one time somebody tried to construct a physical world catalog for books and it weighed 40 pounds. Nobody's going to look through a 40-pound catalog. So now what the internet has allowed is this enormous database capability, which for the first time really allows a customer to go through that entire 3 million title count efficiently and to slice and dice it any way the customer chooses.
Borders is in quite a different situation from Amazon. Amazon is e-commerce only. Borders has to worry about the possibility of cannibalizing its existing storefront business. But Van Zura says the Borders online site is having little impact on its physical stores.
And we believe it's because the value proposition is fundamentally different. If people shop on the internet, they're shopping largely for the database capabilities and convenience. When folks shop in the physical world stores, they're shopping today for the same reasons they've been shopping all along, and that's for the tactile experience, the immediacy, the community, and the relationship that you only can get through the connection with the physical world.
Ron Shevlin, analyst with Forrester Research, says cyber stores are generally not adding new customers, just shifting existing ones.
This is becoming more of a convenience at the moment rather than expanded service levels. So things that I would normally buy anyway, and perhaps anyway even from that particular provider anyway, I'm just buying it from them online. It's more of a cannibalization of their existing channels than it is an increase in their overall sales levels.
Many e-commerce businesses are facing this dilemma, trying to figure out how a web presence can complement rather than compete with their existing business. That is certainly an issue in the online brokerage business. Blake Darcy is CEO of DLJ Direct, one of the early pioneers in online trading.
We were fortunate in that we didn't have the same type of channel conflict than, say, a Merrill Lynch has with their huge brokerage network. DLJ has about 350 brokers. They focus on very high net worth individuals, and they offer a really different type of product than DLJ Direct offers. They offer financial planning services for high net worth individuals, proprietary products and services. So while they were a bit concerned about what we were doing, they were not as concerned as, say, a Merrill Lynch broker would be about Merrill Lynch going online.
The other e-commerce problem DLJ Direct is dealing with is trying to avoid getting trapped in the current e-commerce price wars.
Well, we certainly don't want to have to compete and being the lowest price broker. So our strategy is really to provide higher end types of products and services to the consumer. So we are offering services like access to DLJ IPOs. We're offering access to DLJ research online. And those are things that no one else has access to. And you'll see us developing other types of high-end products and services that really address the high net worth individuals to a large degree and the people who are very serious about managing their money online.
Another company trying to deal with e-commerce channel conflict is Mattel, the toy company. To avoid problems with their all-important retail channel, Mattel is primarily using its website to enhance their brand names and establish stronger ties with their customers.
Well, our websites were basically designed to deepen and enhance the relationship between our consumers and our brands, and that's the reason that we've chosen to make all of our sites highly branded sites. So we've chosen to go the route of naming them Barbie.com, HotWheels.com, Matchbox.com. What they're intended to do is to involve consumers with our brands very, very deeply. It's primarily to drive them into retail. But we do offer some customized and personalized product not available at retail through those sites.
But Mattel is doing something rather unique on their website. Customization is a hot e-commerce topic, and Mattel is combining that strategy with an idea from the PC industry, build to order, to offer custom-made Barbie dolls online.
What we've tried to do in our transaction is really deliver on products that you can't get, experiences that you can't get at retail. And the best example of that is a product that just launched 2 weeks ago called My Design Barbie. And that gives the consumer the opportunity to go in and actually design a doll. So you can pick the skin color, the eye color, the hairstyle. You can actually name the doll and personalize the doll with attributes so that each doll is truly one of a kind and made just for you.
Using the internet to offer personalized service to the customer is a common theme in the online travel field. Hilton Hotels, for example, is using their e-commerce site to provide a kind of customized service which would be impossible on the phone or even in person.
What's really going to drive this market is innovation and new programs and really getting service levels to levels that really just don't exist today. And we think you need to make constant investment into your site, and Hilton's doing that. You know, we are investing a significant amount of funds into our site in order to deliver better product and service to the user. And we think the difference is going to be personalization, is really knowing the user, knowing what their likes and dislikes are, and really almost being intuitive and helping people make the right decision for them.
One of the most popular and early applications of e-commerce has been booking airline tickets. There, too, the airlines see personalization as a major attraction.
Well, we can look at the routes you normally travel. We can, obviously, the profiles about where you like your seating to be, whether you normally travel with your family, all these kinds of things, so that we can begin to hopefully even send out to you via email announcements of things that we think you would like. We happen to know that you normally travel to New York, so we want you to know about fares that we have that are very competitive to New York.
TWA, like any airline, is heavily dependent on their network of travel agents, so selling tickets online presents the usual channel conflict problems.
Anytime you start something new or anytime you change, it's a threat. It's a threat to everyone. But I think the internet now is becoming a fairly household term, and I think we all need to learn to use it, really, to give us that additional option for our customers, because people are beginning to expect it. We're not going to be the only airline out there without a website on which you can actually book your own tickets.
There is another side to the channel conflict problem, internal resistance. In the corporate world, that often comes from existing management.
For many executives, they've built their career, whether they be 35 or 55, they've built their career and their success around delivering value and delivering on the other channels. And now we're making, positioning that, yeah, you've got to change your organization. It's a huge cultural change. And I'm not going to say it's an age issue, but because for the many organizations like IBM, that's certainly not in any organization that's thought of as a young organization. But they have been very progressive in making this move and recognizing the importance of this channel, both internally and for helping their clients.
The resistance to change problem is particularly interesting in the nonprofit sector of e-commerce. Universities are moving quickly to shift many services and even courses to the internet, and on some campuses there is faculty resistance, but to no avail.
It almost doesn't matter. The student pressure is unbelievable. When we first did web stuff, the students said, "Thank you. You guys are doing great stuff." But then they soon added pressure. Hey, I came from the University of Maryland, and they could do this on the web. Why can't you? Well, they're now getting militant, where they simply do it themselves. Students will take a course catalog and load it on the web themselves and make a search engine. Or they'll do a faculty evaluation and put evaluations of faculty on the web themselves. So they beat the IT group to the punch because they've actually become militant about it. So the pressure is there, and the faculty aren't going to be able to just stand in front of the chalkboard with chalk. They have to deliver the services to the students using the electronic technology.
One of the real challenges for any online business is to turn browsers into buyers. Many people surf the net and visit e-commerce sites, but never actually buy anything. The perception is that it's because consumers are worried about credit card security on the net. But Dave Evans, CIO at JCPenney's, says that's not the case.
Security concerns over normal business transactions on the internet has been overdone. And frankly, it's been overdone by the media. You know, a normal credit card transaction for a $90 customer order is pretty secure on the internet. No one is going to take the time and effort to do the decryption of that little credit card number. So I think consumers will become increasingly comfortable with the level of security that's required for their transactions.
Of course, not all e-commerce sites see transactions as the sole purpose of a cyberstore. At Hilton Hotels, they see value in simply building a stronger relationship with their customers.
What we found is that we've really opened a new source of dialogue, and we found that the number of customer contacts we get, via email, has increased dramatically. And first of all, we welcome the increased communication because where people may not want to pick up the phone, they now can send us in an email. And we find that it adds a lot of value because we get to respond, we get to know what their likes were, what their dislikes were. We get just as many compliments as we do suggestions. But I think that we're increasing the dialogue with our guests at a level we've never seen before.
One of the big issues hovering over the whole e-business revolution is, can any online business really make money? Is price competition on the net so great that it will be difficult for any cyber store to survive? Blake Darcy of DLJ Direct says he was surprised by the fierce price competition on the web.
Well, I think we probably never expected the degree of price competition we're seeing right now. The idea that the people would be offering trades for less than $10 in some instances was something that we probably never would have envisioned. But it is the nature of this business that it's going to be very price competitive. It's very easy on the internet for people to compare prices, to go to sites where they will tell you exactly where the various brokers are in price points. So price competition is going to be there and it's going to be intense. I don't think anyone has to be the lowest price broker, but you have to stay within a range of reasonableness as far as the consumer is concerned. So price is going to continue to be a factor for online brokerage, as it will in any online business. I think that's going to be one of the key factors.
One of the featured speakers at this e-business conference was the Motley Fool, the brothers David and Tom Gardner. Tom offered the view that even some of Wall Street's favorite e-commerce companies may have trouble surviving in the long term.
One of the companies in the portfolio that David manages online is Amazon.com. And he'll be the first to say it's not clear whether Amazon is going to be a great success 10 years from now. We have our own beliefs about it, but the world can change dramatically. There are the spiders that go out across the web and look for the best price. And it may be that we just type in a book or a video or a CD and end up selecting the best price and getting it mailed to us within 3 or 4 days from whatever company will provide it, creating such a price war that no company can really profit from online retailing.
While many of us are already comfortable buying things online like computer products or airline tickets or books, that is just the tip of the iceberg. Not only is the range of products being offered online expanding quickly, but the internet is fundamentally changing the relationship that a business has with its customers.
Perhaps the best example of how the internet and the e-business model can change the relationship between a company and its customers is Federal Express. A few years ago, FedEx decided to put up a website that would allow their customers to get into the FedEx internal tracking system and check on the status of their packages. It turned out to be very successful. Customers were thrilled to be able to do their own tracking, and FedEx was thrilled to be able to offload the cost of doing it. One of the speakers at this e-business conference was Rob Carter, CTO of FedEx's parent company, FDX Incorporated. Carter says that the secret of the success of FedEx.com is hiding the technology complexity behind a simple web interface.
Because I'm going to tell you a little secret that's interesting. The fact is when you key in that transaction number on a FedEx tracking screen on the web page, it's actually firing off an IMS transaction to a mainframe database. Well, the reason I tell you that is because what's happening with the internet is this amazing convergence of all kinds of technologies, and the people that are using it really don't have to be aware of all that complexity and heterogeneity that's out there.
One of the main themes at this conference was the need to think beyond mere e-commerce and online shopping to integrating your e-commerce site into your entire enterprise computing system. At Domino's Pizza, that is a key issue, because while their website does serve customers, it is primarily designed to help franchisees.
The real benefit is, in terms of process, is being able to take that front-end application that we've given to them and tie that into our back-end operations. You know, if we simply allow them to make a transaction and we print that transaction out and process it the old paper way, we're not really gaining anything. But if we're able to collect weekly sales information directly and electronically and begin consolidating weekly sales reports quicker, then we've saved a lot of time and saved a lot of effort. And that's the benefit to us.
Of course, the overall business objective of using e-commerce technology is to increase revenue and lower costs.
Doing business on the web, we find, is driving our costs down. In fact, literally with the millions of people that come to our site, we could not service those people if they had to call us on the telephone. We really have to develop whole new res centers to service the number of people that are now visiting Hilton. And obviously that's very expensive, and we don't think we really just can't afford it. So doing the web has really opened up a new avenue for people to interact with us.
For online brokers, the ability to cut costs is critical due to the competitive pressures on price.
You really have a way of lowering your costs dramatically. Doing trades electronically is probably 70% less expensive than it was doing it the traditional discount brokerage way, and that's 70% less expensive than doing it the traditional full service with a broker way. So it's really delivered on the aspect of cost savings.
Despite all the apparent attractions of buying and selling products online, profit for most e-commerce sites is still elusive. But in the crazy world of e-commerce startups, turning a profit is not the only way to make money.
There's a difference right now in our segment between being profitable and making money. Folks have made a lot of money so far, actually $7 billion in increased market capitalization for internet commerce players, even though the current forecast for this year is to lose $300 million. So it's been pretty clear that right now what the market is focused on is rewarding revenue growth, not rewarding any kind of demonstration of a profitable economic model. Now we think in the long run the market's going to require that, and so companies operating in our space are going to need to figure out what that model looks like.
One of the problems e-commerce startups have is high expectation levels on the part of consumers with regard to price and with regard to service. Forrester analyst Ron Shevlin shared one telling anecdote with the attendees at this conference.
One of my colleagues went to one of these music sites to purchase some CDs, and after a couple days had not received his order, and went back to the website. There was a little, note contact us here through this email address. So sent an email out to the address asking for some information about the status of his order. A couple days after that, he got an email response that basically said this: "Thank you very much for your email response. Unfortunately, due to the overwhelming number of emails that we've received, we cannot respond to your email right now. If you have further questions, please send us an email."
One of the challenges for all companies is to develop the kind of email management systems that are needed to provide prompt and comprehensive responses to email inquiries. Many of us in the service end of the business have large customer service centers. We can handle 500,000 phone calls a day, never lose an order. But if we got 500 email messages tomorrow afternoon, we'd have a hard time managing those. So one of the things we're working on is develop an email work management process flow system that will allow us to keep track of those customer emails just as efficiently as we do a customer phone call today.
The Forrester Research Group is predicting that the internet will fundamentally change the rules of business, evolving into a model they call dynamic trade. Ron Shevlin explained the three components of the concept.
Number one is that the value of the services that a company provides will eclipse the overall value of the product and the product that they provide. So number one, services eclipse product. Number two, demand drives production. There'll be much less reliance on crystal ball forecasting and gazing out of what the demand will be based on our salespeople's best guesses. And companies will respond to demand as it's created through online ordering. And the third rule is that the pricing will match market conditions. Companies will adjust their prices based on the overall demand levels and based on many factors, things like inventory levels, things like what their competitors are doing real time, because they'll be monitoring that in real time. And third, even things like the weather. You will see perhaps soda machines changing the prices of the soda based on the overall temperature levels.
This notion of real-time demand pricing is already happening on the internet, especially with airline fares.
Certainly the ability in real time to offer hot fares certainly gives us a lot of opportunities to maybe promote flights that are going with perhaps some empty seats, or to, again, do some things that we haven't been able to. It gives us that real-time communication with our customers. It's better than having an ad come out. It's better than waiting for something to come on the television.
Besides the notion of dynamic trade, the other new concept coming out of e-commerce is that of the virtual business community. Mark Verschell is Vice President of e-business strategy at PeopleSoft.
Amazon.com isn't about just buying a book. What you do is you look onto the site, and they have a whole community about buying books. And actually what you're doing is buying gifts. You might say, like I just went, and for my mom, I said I wanted to get her a gift certificate. So I went there, and it allows me to figure out what would be an appropriate thing for her, given her interests. And I talked to reviewers, everything. I got other people on there who were interested in these kinds of books. And ultimately I said, hey, this is a great thing, and this is what I wanted. And then I just efficiently bought the book. So the key thing is it's not about just being efficient. It's how do you enable people to be much more effective.
Verschell likens PeopleSoft's e-business network to a portal, only instead of creating an online community based on social interests or hobbies, the eBiz portal is based on common business interests.
And if you think of an e-business community, instead of a physical community, it's a community of interest. Just like people have communities on scuba diving now, or mountain climbing, or what the communities here are based on business activities. And what happens is your business activity is taking a business trip. And all that information that you get around that is very relevant to you because you're in the process of setting up a business trip. So that's really the key thing we looked at, is how to integrate all of this content in a way that was very relevant to the person trying to accomplish business goal.
The statistics on e-commerce are overwhelming. During 1998, online sales will total nearly $5 billion, an annual growth rate of more than 60%. Right now, more than 10 million people are regularly shopping online, and internet traffic continues to double every 100 days.
So where is the world of e-commerce going? No one really knows, but if you're thinking of getting into it, you'd better have deep pockets. Blake Darcy says the days of the shoestring e-commerce startup are over, due in large part to the tremendous escalation in advertising and marketing costs.
In marketing, the stakes have been raised considerably. In the old days, you could advertise online, which was fairly reasonably priced at that time, and hope to get enough people to click to your site and open an account. Now there's so much competition, you can't just hope to put up a button or a banner ad and get someone to click on it and come to your site. You're up against the other competitors with their buttons and banners, and they have to have a reason why they're going to press your button to come to your site, which means you have to create some brand awareness before they even see that button or they see that banner ad, which means you have to start advertising in more the traditional ways of TV, radio, newspaper, and magazines. So with all the competition, the stakes have been raised to the point where you have to now spend, I think, $30 to $40 million just to have a seat at the table.
But despite the high cost of entry, most of the attendees at this e-business conference said, just do it.
The best advice that I could give someone is to get started, go fast, and try to have as many learning cycles as you can, and as many feedback cycles as you can. I think sometimes we overstudy these types of ventures, and obviously you have to keep your investment low, but you want to keep your investment low, your risk low, but move fast.
But if you already operate a physical store, do you have to have an e-commerce site?
My belief is no. And again, one of One of the issues, or one of the things that frankly makes me chuckle a little bit, is when you hear people now say, we've got to go online. And you ask the question why, and it's, well, because the competition's there, or because it's the new thing. Well, that's not a reason to go online. The reason you should enter any business is because ultimately you see how it will be a viable economic model.
The bottom line advice for anyone thinking of getting into e-business is, you better have a strong stomach.
Companies have to accept that they're probably going to have to endure some financial pain if they really plan on being serious, because the market is not enforcing some sort of profit discipline right now. It's just pure revenue growth. Then the question is, over time, do you see an end game or a series of potential end games where the model is profitable? And that to me is the key. As a startup, going through the analysis of how competitive is this market already, what kind of distinct customer advantage can I provide that's not already present? In order to provide that customer advantage, what sort of resource commitment and time horizon is required, and do I have either the stomach or the capacity to take that on?
To reinforce that point, Tom Gardner of The Motley Fool told the attendees at this conference the story of KTEL Online.
KTEL decided that earlier this year, it too was an internet business. And so it announced that it was going online, I believe, in March of this year. Its stock at the time was trading at about $3 a share. It was another one of those wonderful penny stocks, low-grade promotional companies. And within 6 weeks, the stock had gone from 3 to 40. And then within about 6 weeks, it had gone from 40 to about 3.
And, not to be outdone, Tom's brother David shared this fanciful story of the logic behind today's internet startups.
I was actually flipping through the New York Times a year or so ago, and I came across this cartoon, and I thought it was so effective that I needed to share it with you, because I think it sort of represents our own experience. How to form your very own Silicon Valley startup. It was entitled, Step 1, go to Menlo Park, find a tree. Step 2, shake the tree, a venture capitalist will fall out. Step 3, before the venture capitalist regains his wits, recite the following incantation. Internet, electronic commerce, distributed enterprise-enabled applications, Java. Step 4, the venture capitalist will give you $4 million. Step 5, in 18 months, go public. Step 6, after you receive your check, go back to Menlo Park, find a tree. Step 7, climb it, wait.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Stewart Cheifet at the PeopleSoft eBusiness Conference in Amelia Island, Florida.
The Computer Chronicles is brought to you by BigStar.com, with thousands of videos and DVDs for the whole family.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.
Next week on the Computer Chronicles, 3D graphics. We'll show you the difference a 3D accelerator card can make on your computer. You'll find out how to use 3D objects in presentations, ads, or web pages. We'll show you a great new 3D modeling tool called Poser 3. And want to know how they do all those cool 3D effects in TV commercials? We'll show you the software. Plus a look behind the scenes at PDI, the computer animation shop that made the movie Ants. And my pick of the week, a webcam that doesn't require the web. It's all coming up next week on the Computer Chronicles.